Hi, my name is Jacob. Sorry. And today I will discuss truth and knowledge in our personal lives. And this I will do based on the quote of this assignment, which is or one of the pre-described ones. The whole point of knowledge is to produce both meaning and purpose in our personal lives. And this presentation will therefore focus mainly on new knowledge, which is essentially linked to truth and how we use it in our personal life. So the 4 points that will be covered is mainly what is truth knowledge, what purpose does truth knowledge serve in our personal lives, how do we apply truth knowledge in our personal lives, and how far and should we apply truth in our lives. So, and to begin with, and to understand why and how we should use knowledge and truth, is to begin with what is truth and knowledge. Now, the definition of knowledge is the range of one's information or understanding. So, therefore, there are differing distinctions of knowledge. For example, it's our personal observations using senses like our eyes, our smell, and there are analytical observations using our brain. So, for example, a blue bird. I can see a blue bird. That bird is blue. That's using my senses, but my brain can also analyze. Okay, how can I use this, and how is this my knowledge? And therefore, knowledge is essentially linked to our truths, because truth is the property as of a statement of being accorded with fact or reality. So, like I said, my knowledge of the bird that is blue is based on the fact that I can use my personal observations using senses, and using our brain, using my analytical observations, I can prove that the bird is blue. And although they are linked, and they are, knowledge is primarily used to prove the truth, because truth is essentially obsolete. So, for example, we can use knowledge to prove something is true, but truth necessarily isn't inadequate if not everyone has knowledge as to why. So, you can know using your knowledge that something is correct, is a truth, while someone else might not have the same knowledge as to why something is true. The truth is the same regardless. For example, the blue bird, I will primarily use as my example. The blue bird is blue, regardless if someone else hasn't seen the same blue bird. And I can say that the truth is obviously about the fact that that bird, the species of said bird that is blue, that is still a truth. And that's an obsolete truth. And that's just the way we can observe a truth. For example, we use, in order to prove and use knowledge for other people to understand that something is true, you support your truths by using your knowledge, and you mainly using facts. So we use systems, for example, in order to prove that our observations can be used in order to prove that our knowledge supports the claim that something is true. For example, the more people that agree to said system, the more solid your claim that based on your knowledge is a truth-filled statement. If I wanted to prove that the bird is blue, for example, I'd use a system such as Calvin-Linné's system of using however a bird is blue and showing that as a species. The more people that agree that that system is a solid way of proving a truth, therefore that is more an obsolete truth, and therefore um, truth can be sort of knowledge can be subjective, because it's sort of an abstract concept of using truth and knowledge, because we use knowledge in order to prove a truth, but we want to convince other people that something is true, and using our knowledge to prove that someone else's our truth is correct, we use systems. Like, for example, let's use math as an example. Math is an all-around agreed system, primarily used around the world to show mathematical systems. For example, 1 plus 1 is 2. We agree that that is the system we use, and of course, math is more complex, but than 1 plus 1 equals 2. But as a lot of people, the majority of people around the world that are studying math use that same system, we agree that 1 plus 1 is a truth. 2 is a truth. And therefore, truth can never be, as Socrates said, truth can never be reached only by conversing with other people. We can show that something is true. So that is what is truth and knowledge. Now we need to go into what's the purpose of using this truth and knowledge, and how do they serve in our personal lives, and how do we apply them. So we use knowledge in order to predict and make decisions based on the knowledge we possess through observations and experiences we make. So, for example, truth and knowledge steer our lives. For example, if you want to become a mathematician, or if you want to prove that something is mathematically correct, you use the mathematics system. And therefore, we use our knowledge and truth in order to show that that's how we can view the world. And with knowledge and truth, so we can progress as a society. More modern examples can be job applications. For example, you want to apply as a teacher to a job, or you want to become a teacher, and you're going to your job application, and they want to know, okay, what are your prior experiences, your knowledge, your truths about your knowledge. So you use your knowledge in pedagogy, or you use your knowledge in a specific subject in order to become a teacher. You also use it in politics in order to, and this is connected to winning arguments, in order to show that, okay, this is why you should believe what I'm saying. This is why you should believe in me. And you also want to make truth and knowledge, and for example, finances. You want to make the best decision in order to make the most capital, or to simply have a financial system, and therefore you balance your finances in a correct way, or even gaining your finances. And these are just modern examples. But without the presence of truth knowledge of said truth, we aimlessly walk around like sleepwalkers, as a sort of anecdote to Socrates, and we become unreliable. So we cannot build society with the presence of truth and knowledge, which is moving us forward. So, although I used more modern examples, you can also use the Stone Age knowledge. In the Stone Age, you wanted to survive primarily by, for example, eating and consuming. So, what do you have to do? Well, you had to kill an animal. How do you do it? Well, you have knowledge that, okay, something is pointy, and eventually I can make a scar and I can kill an animal. So, I use these pointy spears, for example, and you want to kill an animal. You can therefore feed your family and yourself to survive. So, therefore, throughout society's history, we have used knowledge, and we've used truths about said, we've used knowledge and therefore showing that something is true. For example, consuming, and then you can survive, and that's a truth. You can survive by consuming. And how do you gain something you can consume? For example, food. Well, you have knowledge on how to kill an animal, and therefore you can kill the animal, and then you can consume. So with knowledge and truths, we can progress through societies. And this is something that's primarily true because, well, history shows that. And how do we agree with history? Well, we use systems in order to prove history. Like I said, that is primarily in discussion about truth and knowledge. We also use it as winning arguments. You win an argument by using primarily, of course, there are other ways to win an argument, but you primarily use knowledge and facts. You use truths in order to win an argument. But like I said, truth, I can go back to it. Truth and knowledge can also be subjective because, like I said, it's based on systems that we all agree on. So when you're on opposing sides of an argument, for example, let's say someone believes that this is how a political system and this is how a society should be used because I have these facts and knowledges. Well, someone else has a contradicting way. So it's a subjective way as well, and that's primarily used when you use abstract, when you use analysis observations, and how I can observe the world in one way and someone else can observe the world in one way, and this is how I want to build it, so someone else can build a society. So truth and knowledge can also be subjective based on how you want to use the knowledge. But like I said, it's very essential for our society and how we've lived throughout society with knowledge and truth. So how far can and should we use truth and knowledge in our lives? Well, although it's essential that we use knowledge and truth, it can be to some extent dangerous as well. Because like I said, truth and knowledge can never be truly objective. It's a truth. Oh, sorry, my computer is loading. Because it's also subjective. Like I said, when you're using two examples on how two people view the world, you have to agree with someone. You have to agree with someone else's observation. Let's say you use the bluebird again. Let's say someone else's is red. Well, I have to choose because someone has a system, and the best system I will primarily choose. So, example, although truth and knowledge is essential, we can use them used in subjective ways, in vile and misleading purposes even. So, for example, politicians can use different facts, while someone can even make fake news, fake facts, and fake truths based in order to reach power, for example. So they can use lies disguised as truths in order to gain purpose. So they have a purpose through that. Someone can also use that propaganda. Propaganda is a perfect example of how someone can use vile lies and even just straight up horrible things, but they are conceiving it as a truth, as a knowledge. And therefore, it's essential that we can also expose that in the system. Also, criminals can use, they can withhold facts. They can withhold and even show away that, okay, but this is, how do you know it's true? Well, then you have to prove that something is true. For example, let's say a criminal murdered someone and they're in court. They can straight up lie. They can say, this is not true. I did not murder this person. So therefore, truth is essential in order to compete with these systems, to compete with people who are lying. Now, my recording will stop in 3 seconds, so I'll start a new one in a couple seconds.